So, within Tower Defense Simulator, you may know of the Battle Pass, and you may know that the Battle Pass has unique name tags. As you can see here, we have the Sandcastle name tag, we have the Beach name tag, we have the Tropical name tag, we have the Shrimp name tag, etc, etc, etc. My favourite is the Deep Sea name tag, and is the one I'm currently using, purely for its cartoonish effects. However, did you know that the person who made these name tags actually made more for Tower Defense Simulator? And in fact, some of the name tags that have been added to Tower Defense Simulator are slightly incorrect. So, this is Bard VFX, or Visual Effects. This seems to be the main person who's doing visual effects for Tower Defense Simulator nowadays, at least on the name tag side of things. Previously, it was Nexture, or Outer Bears as you may know him, for name tags. However, as you can see here, he has been doing some name tags for Tower Defense Simulator and some other stuff. So, for example, here you can see cool little crystals I made for the Fallen Hacker in Tower Defense Simulator. I'm going to upload the cool stuff over the weekend. They also did the water portal whirlpool as seen here, and they also did the hacking effect, but for some reason this wasn't accepted, so sadly this had to be scrapped due to technical restrictions, but I still think it's a neat effect. So it looks like it's like a whirlpool effect or something like down here, and the zombie or the enemy that's converted over appears out of it. So it looks like the original effect for the Hacker Tower looks like it fell into a portal of some kind or a wormhole, and then it came out the other side and it looks like this, which is kind of similar to how it does, except it's like kind of instant click of the fingers, it turns over from a enemy into a red hologram which collides with other enemies to deal damage to them, whereas here it looks like it just pops out of existence out of a wormhole to then attack enemies with. So kind of sad that it got scrapped, but due to tech restrictions, it's the reason why it got scrapped. So I really can't blame the developers or the person who made it for that one. They also made some concept art for the Summer Commander skin, so it looks like they're also in the business of making graphical art for the recent towers. And importantly for this video, they made some of the quote recent name tags for Tower Defense Simulator. So firstly, on this image you have what appears to be the Heatwave name tag, and as you can see it has actually got a different typeface to the other ones seen here. In fact, the other ones seen in Tower Defense Simulator. This is the normal typeface in Tower Defense Simulator, it's pretty standard, and if you were to sort by alphabetical and then go down to Heatwave, you'll notice that the typeface used for the name tag is actually not different. It's the same one used for all the other typefaces for the other name tags, and unlike the leak here, it's kind of different. However, you will notice it is the same visual effects. It is the same rolling of the tumbleweed and the same heatwave effects there compared to the effects that's seen in the game and seen here. Now, it's mirrored to the version that we see on Twitter, purely because I think it's from a standpoint of the developers adding it. For some reason, they just seem to mirror the stuff in Tower Defense Simulator. I have no idea why, but it's just the case where it is mirrored. I don't think that's much of an issue, other than the fact that the typeface for the name tag is actually slightly different. However, one that I would like to point out is this one. This is the Beach name tag, as you can see with the typeface. This is actually the first custom typeface used for Tower Defense Simulator's name tags. And actually, unlike the Heatwave, this one actually kept around its name tag. I have no idea why the other one didn't keep its name tag, but this one did. However, kind of notice that this is slightly different from the version that's seen in the game. The version seen in the game, it doesn't have this wave, and it doesn't look like it has sand, nor, well, I mean, I don't know if it has starfishes, and also the sun's on the different side, but we've established that it's on the different side for a reason. But also, the Beach name tag, right, it doesn't have the outline as shown off here. Here, it does have an outline, which does increase its legibility to actually be read, whereas the version in the game, it doesn't have this outline. It does have these starfishes though, so I was wrong about that. But as you can see, there is no waves, but you can still see some sort of water motion in the background. However, the sand itself, it partially covers the name tag as seen here, but in the game, it doesn't at all. In fact, it's upside down. As you can see here, there's the bit of the slopey part here, and then the straight part at the bottom. Now, if you compare this to the version in the game, it's actually the wrong way round. You can see the straight part here and the slopey part there. So, for whatever reason, the developers have mixed up the direction of the name tag. Now, this leads me to believe that there's actually some waves on this name tag, but because it's upside down and within the sand, it's not there, you can't see it. So for whatever weird reason, the developers have messed up the addition of this name tag so badly that it's a completely different name tag. It doesn't have an outline, the sand is upside down, the water is upside down, and all of a sudden flat earth is not a conspiracy anymore. I don't know how the flat earth conspiracy works. Does that mean, like, you know, is Australia upside down or something or not? I don't know. You know what? That's actually a good name tag, right? This is, I'm currently in New Zealand right now, right? This is the Australian name tag. Never mind the fact that it's not summer in Australia or New Zealand right now. It's currently winter, and you know what? It's better than whatever European heatwave is. The next name tag, it doesn't have BardVFX as the person who's showcasing it, so I assume it was Out of Bears who made this. However, this does not appear in the Surf and Turf Battle Pass. This looks like a bubble effect of some kind, but this doesn't appear in Tower Defense Simulator's Surf and Turf Battle Pass. Now, I can't lie, I'm not entirely sure how bubbles relates to summer, I guess more the water side of things, so if it's scrapped because of that, fair enough. But it does look like the Outer Bears did make one, except I don't think it's the game. If you search up, or try and search up bubbles in the name tag store, or anywhere here, it doesn't really turn up. The only thing that I could really think of is perhaps the Ducky Bath name tag, which has kind of got some bubbles for its like visual effects, but it's not exactly the same as these bubbles here. These bubbles look more colourful than the version seen in Tower Defense Simulator. And before we go on to the elephant in the room, the version seen here, the BardVFX, this is actually a version that is seen in the game. I think it's very similar to this. I think it's the Evil Hacker name tag. It looks kind of similar to that, but as you can see, the Evil Hacker name tag doesn't have its own unique typeface, whereas the version seen here, it kind of does have a unique typeface. Also, I can't lie, I think this version here, it's more black, whereas the version that's seen in Tower Defense Simulator is not as like dark as this version seen here. Although I could be wrong, it doesn't look as dark, and you can see like the slight red like squares behind it. This name tag here, it's actually added in the game as proper, but obviously you have this name tag here. Yes, this is a Retrowave name tag that's not seen in Tower Defense Simulator, and I'm not entirely sure was meant to be seen. Now, it's made by Outer Bear, so I have to assume that it's made by him, but in Tower Defense Simulator, we do have a retro name tag already, so it can't be called the retro name tag if it was called that. But it's speculated that it's called the Retrowave name tag. Now, and also there was a glitch with the Evil Hacker name tag where its effects can be previously seen, or can currently be seen, on a name tag which you equip. So here, the Retro name tag is just the pinkish white typeface, and not the Evil Hacker effects. But in any case, the Retro name tag in Tower Defense Simulator, not really retro. The only reason why I can really think it's retro is because the colours kind of remind me of an N64, kind of, with like the red and the white. Then again though, I don't think the Nintendo 64 is known for the pinkish white. I think it's more red and grey. So actually I have no idea what this retro name tag is in reference to. So certainly a retro name tag would certainly befit this name tag more. But as you can see, it's more like a Retrowave name tag, which is why we named it. And the text seen here, the typeface, is reminiscent of GTA's typeface, or specifically GTA 5's. I do believe it's the same typeface for GTA 6 as well, the upcoming game. Now, for whatever reason, this was not added to the game. Now, it could be speculated that this is a admin name tag that the general public is not meant to be seen around, which I kind of get. Like, the effects of this are so cool, right, that I would want to see this as a thing, even if it costs like 10,000 coins or something. I would spend 10,000 coins to get this. Like, the other speculation reason is that it's not public because it kind of riffs off GTA 5's typeface, which, I mean, yeah, kinda, but you can easily change the typeface for this to, like, other stuff. Like, for example, the Evil Hacker typeface was changed over to the default one when it was added to Tower Defense Simulator, so why not this, and avoid the copyright if that's the issue? I don't know, I think it's a missed out opportunity, and I really wanted the GTA 6 name tag in Tower Defense Simulator, but oh well. Then you have these name tags, which I do believe they're kind of similar, and in fact nearly exactly the same as the version seen in Tower Defense Simulator. The only version that I don't think is the same is this one, the Sandcastle name tag, because the typeface here is not the default typeface that's used for the others as seen here. Indeed, if you equip the Sandcastle name tag, you'll notice that firstly, the typeface is different, but secondly, the layering of this name tag is also different. So part of the name tag is over part of the name, but then part of the name tag is also behind the name, which I find to be very cool, which, I mean, actually is kind of similar to the version seen in the developmental leak. Also, it's slightly different. I don't see the holes in the sandcastle here. The flag is the same, but I don't see the holes in the sandcastle. The name tag itself, it's slightly further up for the bit here, and the sandcastle is slightly further down, so you don't actually see this part of the sandcastle. That's slightly different. One more thing I want to point out is that the two Outer Bears name tags, which I assume it means that Outer Bears made it, they're both unobtainable, or at least they're not in the game in Tower Defense Simulator. They may be obtainable by developers, but at the very least, you can't get this as a regular player. So I speculate that maybe Outer Bears is making admin-exclusive name tags that only the admins in Tower Defense Simulator can use, which may make no sense whatsoever, but you do have to remember that sometimes the developers of Tower Defense Simulator want an off chance and want an off day, but they still want to make something to add to Tower Defense Simulator, so this is their version. They're making stuff that may not be approved by, I don't know, Below Natural or something, but they can add it in their admin capacity to use for their own purposes, which is why they're probably made. But still, if I start a petition, right, to add the Retrowave name tag to Tower Defense Simulator, surely we can add this to Tower Defense Simulator. Come on, it's a very cool name tag at the very least.